Hey, this is Jerry Roberts, and this is a new video that I'm adding that is tied to another related issue that's in some ways very similar to the New Age movement, but it's kind of just a close cousin. And during my research, I've come to be aware of the fact that though there are some New Age influences that do make their way into churches, that a larger danger is actually New Thought. And this is basically a revival, a renewal of the 1800s New Thought movement. But it's been really further developed, and a lot more details and a lot more new aspects have been brought into it. So we're going to talk a few minutes about New Thought as it relates to our current realities. New Thought is summarized as a life-changing revelation unveiling the universal law to intentionally manifest joy, wealth, and fulfillment through your thoughts. It's tied into the New Age movement in that its basic beliefs are tied to the deity of the human self. People have within them the Christ spirit, and all they need to do is to learn to manifest it. New Thought has influenced a lot of Christian teachings, including prosperity, healing, and New Apostolic Reformation. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Because of the teachings that are here within the New Thought, there's a lot of potential crossover. One of the best ways of kind of summarizing New Thought teachings is in the book called The Law of Attraction, and this is a book that gained a lot of traction, a lot of attention in the past 10 to 15 years. It's bestseller. Movie stars have been quoted as talking about it and such. And again, it provides a little bit of crossover from Christianity. They claim to be borrowing from Christianity when they teach some of these things, but it borrows scriptures such as Matthew 6:33, which says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." Matthew 7:7, "Ask and you will receive." And then it takes those scriptures and just kind of twists and turns them and does all kind of crazy stuff with them. But the basic idea, and this actually is just an overview, the basic idea is that you can attract things to yourself based on your thoughts. Based on the idea that you attract the essence of what you're thinking and what you're feeling. For example, if you think positive, you will attract positive things. If you think negative, you will attract negative things. And it goes well beyond that. It goes into the idea of manifesting things, speaking things into existence. Positive statements will bring positive to you. If you claim, "I have a job," you will get that job. If you claim, "I am wealthy," I will be wealthy. If you claim, "No, I'm depressed and I'm bad and I'm sorry," then that's what you will attract to yourself. So the law of attraction is literally all about this idea of being able to create your own reality through your thoughts and such. Now, you notice that the cover here says the basics of the teachings of Abraham. Now, if you were to read that from a Christian perspective, you would assume that would be something that the guy Abraham wrote in the Old Testament. But no. The book is supposedly the teachings of Abraham, who is a spiritual entity that Esther Hicks channels. And this spiritual entity knows the secrets of the universe. So please understand, the law of attraction is not Christian. It is pagan at its roots, literally tied to the idea of channeling spirits. So be sure you understand that. So the law of attraction is not Christian. Now we'll talk about how sadly it's finding its way into some Christian teachings in a minute, but these are just a few quotes from the book. To better understand the law of attraction, see yourself as a magnet, attracting unto you the essence of that which you are thinking and feeling. So again, the law of attraction, you can see how it's a little bit tied to New Age movement, but it's more New Thought, more like the guy, Quimby, who helped start the teachings that led to Christian Science. This idea that if you think good things will come to you. If you speak good things will happen to you. And if you don't, then you're gonna get back what you give out. It makes no difference whether you want the specifics of it or not. It is the vibrational essence of the subject of your attention that is attracted. That which you really, really want, you get. And that is which you really, really do not want, you get. In other words, both the positive energy you put out in the universe and the negative energy you put out in the universe inadvertently, all of those things are going to come back to you. So really, New Thought is all about this. It's all about being able to control reality with your thinking. We control reality with your confessions, with your words that you speak and such. Sadly, the influence of New Thought teachings are most cleanly seen in the teachings found in basically within the New Apostolic Reformation groups. Not exclusively those groups, but they're really the ones that kind of have the closest ties with this, where you can see the closest points of connections. Groups such as Bethel, Benny Hinn, and similar ministries to that, Jesus Culture, a lot of the new worshipy style movements and such. Not all of them, but a lot of them have these teachings kind of in the back. And if you really do a deep dive into some of these teachings, then you start listening to some of the worship songs that are made popular nowadays. You hear this and you go, oh no, can we sing that song anymore? But anyway, again, all of these New Apostolic Reformation groups, again, kind of scary when you think about it. Now that we've studied Mormonism, that supposedly was restoring the lost truths, the gospel that had been lost. We've studied Jehovah's Witness that said that the Catholic Church suppressed the truth about Jehovah, and now we're restoring these truths. When you see that, you're going, oh no, they're talking about a restoration, restoring to the church lost powers that have been lost over the years, restoring lost truths that have been lost to the church over years. This particular book we're going to reference in just a moment talks about the idea of extracting the precious from the worthless, which literally is this idea that we can, if we see something in the world that seems to have power, that belongs to Christians. A tarot card reader has stolen, that ability to see people's futures, that's stolen from Christians, and we can go extract that precious power that's been stolen from us. Every power can be reclaimed. It includes the idea of every believer having supernatural powers and doing greater works than Jesus. Every believer being healthy and wealthy. Some teachings about the last day transfer of wealth, that if you sow out seeds, that somehow the monies of the nations, the monies of the pagans are going to flow into you, and this whole concept of that. The Apostolic Reformation groups, the idea of restorations of apostles and prophets as positions and roles of power, that people in the church should be submitted to them. And so the New Thought teachings kind of flow side by side with a lot of those teachings. And the most disturbing similarities in teachings can be seen in a book that was put out in 2015 called The Physics of Heaven. Now, it was written by a woman named Judy Franklin and also Ellen Davis. Now, both of these people actually have connection with Bethel Church. They are not part of their ministry or whatever else, but they do have connection with them. And some of the contributors include Bill and Benny Johnson of Bethel and Banning Liebshire, who is from Jesus Culture. And so some of these people, some of these names are people that are part of groups, and when you realize that this is the type of thing they're contributing to, you can see how easy these New Thought and New Age ideas can get into the church. One of the promotional ads for this particular book said, unlock heaven's healing energy, tap into the frequency of God's kingdom, and access a realm of divine encounters today. And man, just having looked at New Age and having looked at New Thought just a little bit there, it just resonates so much with those ideas. Judy Franklin in the earlier parts of the book wrote, doing the works of Jesus and even greater works should be an everyday occurrence for us. When a child gets cancer, we should be able to tell that cancer to leave now, because that child is not meant to die early. He is meant to live a long life. And then she goes on to talk about the 70 years promised in Psalm 90:10 and the 120 years promised in Genesis, and that's a promise, and we should be able to claim that promise for that child. Other examples, one by Benny Johnson. God is issuing a clarion, a shrill and clear sound, calling us to venture into new realms, including the realms of the vibrations of heaven. When you connect to the spirit realm, you make an alliance with that sound of heaven, and all things move to that sound. I mean, again, if you just read that and you're thinking, oh, Christian this and Christian that, that just sounds kind of cool. But when you read this in the context of the New Age movement and the New Thought movement, you just go, wow, what is going on here? This is kind of troubling. Another part that was written by Judy Franklin, she talked about a vision that she had about this issue where God is going to release this new sound and this new clarion that Benny Johnson refers to here, and said, in my vision, I saw Christians who had been transformed by God's sound, stopping floods and natural disasters. I saw hurricanes headed toward our coast and Christians speaking to the winds and telling them to stop. And then the whole vision goes on, speaking to tornadoes and having them fall apart, speaking to wildfires and they cease to burn. And again, just this whole construct of human beings having supernatural powers that are tied to some sort of access to a special spiritual being or a spiritual state of being. And so the whole purpose of this, adding this section in here, is the fact that we've looked at the New Age movement some, we touched on New Thought, and we just need to be aware of the fact that New Age movement and New Thought teachings, as they invade our churches and ministries, it's not really safe. They're inviting us to take part in things and to take part in ways of thinking and ways of thinking about God that are not biblical. They're literally asking us to think about things and practice things not based on what the Scripture tells us about how our relationship with God should be through Jesus Christ, but talking about seeking out these experiences and these supernatural and spiritual realms and such that are added on by something other than Scripture. And so, as I said, just wanted to throw this in here to be aware of the New Thought movement and some of the things that are taking place in our day. We have to be aware of the fact that these movements, even these cult-like movements, can have an impact on our churches and our ministries, and we need to be aware of them. So God bless you today, and thank you for your continued work and attention.